The chapter starts with Seo Moon looking at 3-player contracts and trying to gather up 22 of them, and finding the best ones. Just then Haeyeon entered the house and rushed towards Seo Moon. She asked him why he is working so hard. He told her that her mother is worried about her as she was much busier than him. Just then, he saw a simplified book for learning French in Haeyeon's hands. He asked her about it. She said that she had cleared the Korean selections for the European Battlefield Games and she needs to clear the physical tests in Paris, that's why she's learning French. She also asked him to join her in France. Jake Land, a superhuman who's also the European Battlefield agent, explains to Haeyeon and Seo Moon that Haeyeon has the current highest kilo count and she's the best melee dealer in Korea. She's been selected for the Paris Lumiere. Also, the Moto brothers had invited her mother to France as well and are asking for Seo Moon to join them as they have a present for him. Seo Moon thought to himself that it could be the main weapon that they told him to give him from their workshop. But Seo Moon declined this offer, saying that he's too busy to go as he's been recruiting new players for his team. Jake asked him if he needs any help, but Seo Moon declined, saying that it's a local team he's building and also he's running low on funds. Jake suggested he go to France as Haeyeon's translator and look for some players there. The Korean government allows up to 5 foreign players in a team. In this way, he can help Haeyeon and also get some 7 players from there at a low price. Seo Moon gave it a thought and agreed to it. The 3 of them had arrived at Paris airport but then suddenly got surrounded by a group of reporters. While looking for a way out, Seo Moon noticed one of the Moro brothers standing at the gate for them. He welcomed them and asked Seo Moon if he could give an interview to these reporters now, as they are here. Seo Moon realized that this is his trick to gain more publicity, but he can't do anything rash here, so he went for the interview. The reporters soaked him if he was also participating in the Paris Lumiere. He said that he's here just to cheer her niece. Then a reporter asked him if he was going to meet his partner Eric Thuram from the 7 Heroes. To this, he said that his trip is short, but if Eric is in Paris, he'll look forward to it. Eric was watching this interview. He rushed out as soon as he realized that Seo Moon is in Paris. He jumped out in the ocean and swam towards France as he was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. At the Paris Lumiere clubhouse, the Moro brothers invited them and asked Seo Moon to have a contract and to play from their side. He declined the offer and told them to take care of Haeyeon, who was playing instead of him. They assured him about it and asked Seo Moon to give the physical test along with Haeyeon, and as expected Seo Moon said no. On the other hand, Haeyeon's physical test had just started. She had equipped her gears and is now ready for the test. Her goal is to defeat all the monsters in 1 minute. The test started. Haeyeon used her quick abilities to cut through all the monsters in just 22 seconds. From researching and script writing to editing and mastering our best manhwa review channel, I will work hard to roll out the highest quality manhwa entertainment videos twice or more a week. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting the channel. To learn more about how to support the channel, check out the link in the description box down below, and if you can't give or simply don't even feel like it, that's okay too. I am just happy you're here. Thank you so much, making a new record for this test. The Moro brothers were astonished by her performance and asked her to sign the contract immediately. Seo Moon thought to himself about her stats, as he had prepared the best prescription for her. She's only lacking in strength and endurance, but it'll be prepared by the coaches of this place. As he was thinking all this, a man appears. Seo Moon got a flashback of his time on the battlefield where he heard that there cannot be many people who are as fast as Jiho in his prime. He had remembered this man. He is Nathan Burner. The chapter starts with a flashback to 2005 after Seo Moon Yob and the 7 Heroes completed their raid on the last dungeon. Many superhumans took retirement, but then a sport called Battlefield came to rise. There was a very frequent question that was asked, after Seo Moon, who's the strongest superhuman? There were countless debates that took place around that question, but in every debate one name was common: Nathan Burner. He's the ace of the French national team, the best player of the world's third-string EAT team, the Paris Lumiere, and the 3-time Player of the Year award winner. B entered the room and told the Moro brothers that he was there to meet Seo Moon and also to welcome his new teammate. He greeted Seo Moon in a polite way, but the position of his hands made Seo Moon think that he was planning a sneak attack on him. Seo Moon became perplexed as Nathan grabbed him and hugged him instead of attacking. Nathan said that he was very happy to meet him and Seo Moon also praised his skills. All of his stats are around 90 except endurance, and his superpower clone is also a pretty broken ability to begin with. He can make a clone of him with 50% of his aura to have half of his stats transferred into a second body. He can also regain 30% aura by just merging the clone with himself. Seo Moon thought that a fight of Nathan going up against Geared Walker would be interesting to watch, as Walker also has strength and endurance of 100. Nathan asked him if he had met Gerard after his fight with him. The Moro brothers asked him about the fight. Seo Moon told them that he didn't kill him but he won the fight. Nathan was dumbstruck. He asked Seo Moon if it is really possible to beat Walker in a one-on-one fight too. This Seo Moon replied that he was only human, so it was not impossible. Nathan never imagined that there cannot be a man who can beat Walker in a one-on-one match, but if Seo Moon had defeated him then he really should fight Seo Moon. Haeyeon and her mother are going shopping with Nathan escorting them. As they left, the Moro brothers took Seo Moon to their workshop to give him the gift they wanted to give. In the workshop, there were many fine weapons. The twins gave Seo Moon spears, his main weapon, and asked him to put his aura into it. When he did, the spear extended. It made him happy to see some new technology put into making the spear. The Moro brothers told him that they'll be using these spears to sponsor him along with 1.5 million euros per year for 5 years and 3 million euros for each official and unofficial match he'll play. With all these offers, Seo Moon couldn't resist himself and accepted this deal for the betterment of his team. The chapter starts with Seo Moon signing the contract with the Moro brothers. He was asked to properly read the contract. The brothers reminded him that he have to take care of the weapon provided to him and he cannot discard it. Also, the weapons made for superhumans can only be used by battlefield players. Seo Moon told them that he can get past these old customs, but the brothers told him that they respect the customs, and for that, he had to become a battlefield player. Seo Moon realized that this was a trap laid by the brothers to make him a battlefield player from their country. The brothers told him that it was a business tactic they just used, and Seo Moon fell for it even after knowing that something fishy is happening behind the scenes. They told him how much money they've spent on his items in the auction 17 years ago. Haeyeon arrived and asked why her uncle is sad. He told her the whole story and she became happy as Seo Moon is officially a pro player now. Nathan arrived on the scene and asked Seo Moon about his new weapon and asked him to test it out in the mock battle training room with him. Looking at Nathan's competitive nature, Seo Moon agreed to have a battle with him. On the next day, at the Paris Lumiere clubhouse, Haeyeon and Seo Moon went to the training room where the other team members were practicing. Haeyeon was nervous but Seo Moon comforted her. The players of the French team noticed Seo Moon standing there. The tank of the team came to Seo Moon. He was the tall guy to which Seo Moon thought is dangerous, but he asked Seo Moon to sign on his jersey. He was a big fan of Seo Moon. Seo Moon introduced Haeyeon to him and asked him to treat her well. As he was going, Seo Moon analyzed his stats. They were monstrous. All of his stats are 2-level lead and his superpowers were also regeneration, immunity to illness and curses, along with a third ability called the Blessing of Venture, which Seo Moon didn't understand. Just then Nathan arrived on the scene and explained about the third ability of Church Lucas. He ran a charity that protects wildlife and trees, and his ability is also somewhat related to nature and trees. Seo Moon asked Nathan why he seemed so happy. Nathan told him that his dream of exceeding the world's strongest superhuman is about to become true. He became sad when he knew that this dream of his cannot become true, as Seo Moon had died, but now he had returned and he has a chance to make it true. Seo Moon accepted his challenge and told him that he was not gonna hold back. Just then the Moro brothers arrived with the coach of the Paris Lumiere team, Dubious Gopin. He told Seo Moon that normally Nathan and Chich make the teams, but this time he had to make a team against Nathan. With 11 players in both teams, their battle begins. The chapter starts with both teams facing each other in the training temple. They're given 60 seconds to make a strategy. Seo Moon starts the game plan with Chich as their main tank. He had also assigned a sub-tank and a frontline tank. Their strategy is to act around their frontline tank while Chich shows aggressive attack gameplay. Seo Moon will go for Nathan while the others remain with their frontline tank. Chich told Seo Moon that this is what their casual brawl strategy looks like, and he had also picked the players accordingly as if he knows how the team plays. Seo Moon analyzed Nathan. He will use twin daggers. Seo Moon knew this tactic where the dominant hand is the main attacking unit and the other one provides support. Most of the time the attack pattern of twin dagger users is similar, so he's just gonna analyze and attack afterward. As he was analyzing Nathan, the countdown to the match began. The coach of the team told the Moro brothers that it would be difficult for Seo Moon to win against Nathan as his dagger movements are unpredictable as well as his cloning powers. Seo Moon could die even before he realized Nathan's attack patterns. The coach is planning to promote Nathan as the player who defeated the world's strongest superhuman. The match begins with the clash between the tanks of the two teams. Nathan is trying to close the distance between him and Seo Moon as he will be in a dangerous spot if the distance between them increases. Nathan used his speed to attack Seo Moon from above, but Seo Moon defended this attack using his shield. Nathan jumped back and dashed towards Seo Moon again and attacked him repeatedly because if he gave him any time it would work against him. Seo Moon blocked all the attacks using his shield and spear. Just then Nathan noticed an opening in the defensive pattern of Seo Moon. He went for it, but Seo Moon single-handedly blocked his attack. Nathan realized that Seo Moon showed him the opening on purpose, just to mock him. As Nathan was thinking of using his speed against Seo Moon attacked him. Nathan dodged the attack, but then Seo Moon rushed towards Nathan with his spear. Nathan was dodging his attacks. Seo Moon had maintained a distance in which he can swiftly attack with both his shield and spear, while Nathan can't even move out of his attack range. Nathan realized that Seo Moon is again showing him some fake openings, which he can't attack. It would be impossible for Nathan to defeat Seo Moon alone, so he pulled out his trump card clone. But Seo Moon is ready for it. The chapter starts with the coach and the Moto brothers praising Seo Moon's spearmanship. Even without bringing rain for fighting humans to fight and have an upper hand on a player who had only trained to fight humans is pretty impressive. But now that Nathan had used his clone, the tables will turn and it will not be easy even for Seo Moon to win against him. Both Nathan and his clone charged towards Seo Moon. One attacked him and the other went behind him, but Seo Moon blocked both of their attacks. Nathan and his clone tried to hit him hundreds of times, but Seo Moon blocked every single one of them and he's still standing. But the drag marks on the ground are telling him that whatever he is doing has some effect, even if it's just a little. On the other hand, Seo Moon is tired of this. He underestimated Nathan. His superpower is superior to Seo Moon's, also his power had increased exponentially. He is in perfect synchronization with his clone. There is only one way by which he had a chance to defeat Nathan, but that too had a huge risk. Seo Moon had made up his mind and is now ready to take the risk. Nathan dashed towards Seo Moon, trying to stab him with his dagger, but he dodged and tried to attack Nathan. Just then Nathan used his clone to cut down Seo Moon's right arm. Looking at this situation, everyone watching this fight became astonished and had expected Nathan to be the victor of this fight. Just then Seo Moon told Nathan that he was sure about Nathan trying to attack him without even thinking, and that will give him the opportunity to use his shield on the left arm to finish him off. With all his might Seo Moon hit the ground with his shield, but Nathan dodged his attack and stabbed his dagger in Seo Moon's face. He was stopped by Chich as the game was over and Seo Moon's team had won. After the game, Nathan asked Seo Moon if he had given up on his arm on purpose. To this Seo Moon replied that it was his truck to make an opening. Nathan told him that it was a foolish decision made by him and he had played for it. The coach along with the Moro brothers arrived on the scene and told them how good of a fight it was. They also have another round to play so they can settle their scores there. Seo Moon asked the coach if he can improve his performance if he can watch this battle one time to know more about Nathan's gameplay. The coach agreed to this and took Seo Moon and Haeyeon to their game analysis room. There Seo Moon met Gabriel Sana, the head coach of the Paris Lumiere team. Seo Moon saw his stats and they were weak for a player's level. He asked Gabriel how they're gonna review the game. Gabriel told him that they are going to use an advanced method of analysis called the superhuman analysis system, or S.A.S in short. It is an expensive system which is available in the market for around 2.5 million euros, and only highly skilled professionals can use this. Every big club at this time is using S.A.S, and its benefits can be observed easily. Seo Moon thought to himself that it would be very beneficial for him to have a SAS for his team as it will help them improve more. But he doesn't want to spend 2.5 million on an analysis machine. Seo Moon asked the Moro brothers if they are up to a deal. He will give them his battle data in exchange for the SAS and a trained professional who can use it properly. They agreed to it as they can't let this chance slip by. This decision made both the Moro brothers and Seo Moon happy. Seo Moon told them that the next battle is going to be much more interesting. The chapter starts with Seo Moon thinking about the decisions he had made in France. Looking back at his battle with Nathan, he realized that it was a pretty fresh experience for him to fight against a human for the first time. He looks at his stats, they were almost max leveled, and with the stats there was a new superpower called Amplify, which can improve any talent by plus 10 points. People have limited knowledge about superpowers, but the birth of superhumans became constant. They are based on a person's nature or can be achieved when their aura reacts to extreme circumstances. 1 year before escaping from the orphanage, Seo Moon came out at night, picked up a rock, and aimed it toward the director of the orphanage. They threw the rock at the director's car and it got crashed. In this way, Seo Moon took his revenge and the superpower throw. The scene shifts to the training room where the match is about to start in 5 minutes. Seo Moon was trying to figure out how he got this new power. It could be when he was fighting Nathan, as it was also an extreme experience. He can use this ability to amplify his strength or speed stats, which can change his whole game plan. As Seo Moon was thinking all this, he was called out by Haeyeon. He told her that he didn't notice her on the battlefield. She told her that she died after one support as she became greedy and went for a kill. She asked him about the second round as Nathan is a pretty tough player. Seo Moon told her that he'll be fine as he was pretty strong himself and that arm cut thing was a trick of his. Now he's ready for the next battle. Both teams took their positions and the countdown begins. The match starts with the tanks exchanging blows against each other. Seo Moon took the opportunity to amplify his speed stat. He provoked Nathan to attack him. Nathan was smart enough and he did not lower his guard, but suddenly Seo Moon threw his spear. Bath ATM can dodge that easily, but the spear's acceleration increased up to a level where Nathan couldn't think of anything but jumping out of its way. This was Seo Moon's plan from the start. He changed the spear's trajectory and killed. This took Nathan by surprise, as in all of his studies he had never seen Seo Moon doing something like this. Also, since his clone is dead, he is now left on a 30% aura, which drags his performance to a greater extent. To complement his missing aura and dead clone, Nathan rushed back to his team. This was a wise decision according to Seo Moon as well, but since his speed had increased, he caught up to him and prepared his spear for the final blow to send Nathan out of the game, and with this, the chapter ended. The chapter starts with Nathan asking Seo Moon if he's gonna play in the third round as well because Nathan lost 2 chances to defeat Seo Moon. To this, Seo Moon replied that this will be the last chance for him. The third game starts. Nathan activates his clone without wasting any time. He was determined as this is his only chance to defeat Seo Moon and became the world's strongest superhuman. But Seo Moon is also ready for it as he had already understood Nathan's irregular attack patterns, his movement speed, and his joint attacks with his clone. He provoked Nathan. Nathan with his clone dashed towards him. One from the front and the other from behind, they both attacked Seo Moon. He blocked their attacks, but it was dangerous for him to not do anything. Seo Moon activated his amplifying ability and increased his speed. There are only 2 things Seo Moon could do at this moment. 1. Stay still and defend, but it'll make him isolated. 2. Keep moving and dodging their attacks. This will help him in remaining away from both of them as well as wasting up their stamina, by which their performance will be affected adversely. Seo Moon took the second route, but still due to his insane speed, Nathan was catching up to him very quickly. To school him off, Seo Moon jumped in between the enemy team and started defeating their players. Nathan became impatient as he saw this and rushed onto Seo Moon, but Seo Moon threw 2 spears on both of them. They dodged the spears, but the 2 players of enemy team standing behind them got killed instead. Seo Moon told him that it was not bad to use his speed, but to look around the surroundings is more important as they were blocking the field of vision of their teammates. The head coach of the team realized how Seo Moon is playing the game and having an upper hand on Nathan. He's using tactics to make Nathan impatient and is attacking at the right moment. The coach still has his hopes up for Nathan, but Gabriel didn't agree with him as Seo Moon's changed movements from game 1 are pretty noticeable along with his top-level spearmanship. As Nathan tries to attack with his clone, he got countered by Seo Moon. Seo Moon was dodging Nathan's every attack. Both the coaches and the Moro brothers are surprised by this performance. Seo Moon is using both his spear and the shield to attack Nathan and to make the distance between them. This is preventing Nathan to attack properly. All this change in Seo Moon's gameplay made Nathan realize that the man he is fighting right now is not an ordinary superhuman. He is the man who saved humanity, the immortal who returned alive after 17 years, and now he's in front of him. Nathan has realized that there's no way for him to win this battle. Still, he didn't have up and charged towards Seo Moon again, but the outcome was destined. After the game, Seo Moon praised Nathan and told him that he was better than he expected and he also surpasses Gerald Walker. He gave him advice to work more on his strength stat. This will make him much stronger. The coach arrived and told them that their match was fascinating and he Seo Moon how he handled Nathan's double clone attacks. Seo Moon knew that this happened only because of his amplified stats, but he didn't tell them about it. As Seo Moon was taking his leave, he realized that Haeyeon didn't perform well in the practice matches. She hasn't acquired a single kill in all 3 matches. Seo Moon cheered her up. She didn't take this loss by heart and told him that the next time he meet her, she would become a great player. With all things set, Seo Moon took his leave to do more experimentations on his new ability Amplify. Seo Moon tried to amplify his superpower Eyes of Analysis. By this amplification, he can now see the leadership and strategy stats, and the analysis can be seen in a video as well. Next, he amplified his throw, and by this amplification, the range and speed of the thrown object can be controlled, also it can be retrieved back. Seo Moon tested this one by throwing a toothbrush. Even though it uses aura, it's quite a handy ability to have as he doesn't need to retrieve his spears anymore. For the amplification of his last superpower Immortal, he is a bit tensed as he himself doesn't know what it could result in. He amplified Immortal and an aura started coming out of his hands. Seo Moon is now immune to all attacks, his body is now made up of aura for 120 seconds, also he can now move through matter. Seo Moon tested it out by flying through the walls and he was thinking about its offensive abilities. He sensed the presence of an underworlder. He became super happy as he can now test out his newfound powers. He rushed towards him and threw his spear at the underworld on the Eiffel Tower. He was not dead by that single hit. So Seo Moon flew toward it to cop den up the distance just to realize that 120 seconds have passed and now he was returning to his normal physical form. He rushed back to his room to prevent the fall and succeeded. But he's furious about the cooldown time, also he's unable to sense the presence of the underworld anymore. The scene shifts to the underworld back to his master. He told him that he was hit by a spear and got badly injured, but the Lord didn't hear any of his excuses and killed him. He said that it's not the time to act as he is waiting for the arrival of the light of the beginning. The chapter starts with Seo Moon practicing aura projection again. This time he realizes that while in the aura mode, he is invincible to all attacks, and he can attack as he wishes. Also he realized that he is unable to feel the presence of the underworld energy. He cannot let this incident pass as the spear he threw was missing. Gabriel Sana was introduced by the Moro brothers as the professional who was going to handle the SAS for Seo Moon. Seo Moon used his Eyes of Analysis to look at the stats of Gabriel. He noticed that his leadership and strategy stats are very high and he is having focus as his superpower, which makes him one of the best choices for the coach of the Paris Lumiere team. Gabriel said that he had arrived in Korea not only just to use the SAS, but to observe Seo Moon's abilities and gameplay. Since Gabriel came from Paris risking his career, Seo Moon offered him to be his team's main coach, but Gabriel said that he had one more condition. To benefit his career, Gabriel want the YSM to be Korea's best team within 1 year, and for that, he proposed an offer to Seo Moon which he accepted. The Moore brothers took their picture and uploaded it on their social media handles. They told him that they are the official sponsors for his weapon and this was something that we can do for promotional purposes. They didn't stop at that and kept on uploading pictures of Seo Moon with the Paris Lumiere team. After, sometimes, the news of Seo Moon joining the Paris Lumiere team as an official battlefield player also arrived, which made the rivals of this team worried. One of the strongest rivals of the Paris Lumiere was the team of Germany, which was led by Emre Casa, one of the 7 heroes. The scene changes to the game analysis room of the YSM where the players are looking at Gabriel, who's handling the installation of the SAS. They said that no one in Korea knows how to handle this system and they're eager to use it. Seo Moon arrived at the scene and gathered up the players. He told them about his trip to France and how he managed to take Coach Gabriel with him. He asked them to give him respect and the introduction session started. Gabriel told them that his goal is to make the YSM the champions of the Tier 1 league and for that he wants them to follow his game plan. Also the owner of the club will play with them in 3 matches in 1 year. And with this, their training under the command of Coach Gabriel started. With his training, the improvement in the team's condition can be seen, but according to Coach Gabriel, there is a weak point in the team's Sungo. He had some useful superpowers, but most of its stats are underdeveloped. Seo Moon looked through it and noticed that the limit for his strategy and leadership stats is very high. He has the potential for growth in him. They both discussed the players and the team management done by Seo Moon, but there was also one player whose stats were pretty basic and his superpower is also very limited. Gabriel asked him why he had chosen this player for the team. Seo Moon told him that he'll know when his aura will increase by 1 and reaches 70. Seo Moon knew that his hidden superpower Shadow Steps will get activated and he will be his team's lottery ticket for the victory. The chapter starts with Gabriel in furious mode as he was looking at the current training plan of the YSM. According to him, it's a miracle that the team is still surviving on this training plan. He dumped the current plan and told them that they were going to rebuild the foundation of the team before the second season of Battlefield started. The second training session starts. The speed test. It was hard for the players, but the team's captain motivated the slower players and told them that the Paris Lumiere team goes through this type of training every day, so they must give their 100% to have a chance to win the championship. Coach Gabriel, in his office, was observing the performance of the selected 5 players. These 5 players had shown exponential growth in their performance as compared to the players of any other team. These 5 people include 1. Ro Younghwan, the captain of the team. 2. The melee dealer Namon Jihun, 3-4. The fastest members of the team Lee Naeon and Cho Sungo 5. The newly transferred tank of this team Choi Hyuk. With these 5 and Seo Moon himself, victory will be easy, but it's still unclear why Seo Moon chose Choi Hyuk to be a tank instead of a melee dealer, which he was. Just then, from the SAS coach Gabriel noticed that Hyuk has a second passive ability, and this may be the reason why Seo Moon put him as a tank. On the other hand, BM was sitting on the ground depressed about his performance. Seo Moon arrived and asked him why he was feeling low. He told him that he is the most useless player on the team and that his superpower is also not very effective. Seo Moon told him that he can improve and evolve it with training. Seo Moon took him to the mountains where he had developed an aura training method that would help BM. The increment in the aura stat requires different conditions for different people. Seo Moon told him about his past in the orphanage and told him that everyone can overcome the difficulties in their lives, and it only requires courage. With this, Seo Moon showed him a cave deep down in the ground. He told him that this will be his training grounds for the next 10 days, and he threw him into the cave. Seo Moon also took his phone and told him that if he tried to come out, the consequences will be unfavorable for him. In the cave, BM is depressed as he cannot do anything in a place like this. He then remembered the time when Seo Moon recruited him for the YSM. Seo Moon told him that his superpower has the potential to make him a world-class player. With all of this in his mind, he started focusing on his aura. 10 days had passed. Seo Moon asked BM to come out of the cave. BM came out and saw that it was not Seo Moon but a security camera, and Seo Moon is the other side of it. He told BM that he had to master his newfound superpower before the second season of Battlefield starts, as it'll be his first time playing as the core player of the team. The chapter starts with a countdown. Only 31 days are left before the start of the second season of Battlefield. Seo Moon entered the club. There's a lot of noise and phone calls. Seo Moon reached Coach Gabriel and asked him about the ruckus. Gabriel told him that other teams are trying to recruit Lee Naeon. Even an Eastern country offered $5 million for the pair of Naeon and Sungo. Seo Moon was surprised by hearing this amount. Gabriel asked him if he's gonna sell them. He replied that he'll not sell them for such a cheap price. Sungo also holds a very valuable position in the team, that's why they cannot trade him off like that. Seo Moon told Coach Gabriel that they need to change the player positions for the next game as he introduces Yoon BM to him. Seo Moon told him that he got his lottery ticket. The scene shifts to the tournament stadium as it's the beginning day of the second season of Battlefield. The first match is between YSM and GT Knights. The core player of YSM, Yoon BM, was introduced and everyone is having high hopes for him as the club owner Seo Moon Yob himself had scouted him. Everyone's excited about this match. 10 minutes before starting the match, Coach Gabriel told BM that the 5 core members of this team make a perfect composition, which includes 1 tank, 2 melee dealers, 1 ranged dealer, and 1 support player with 3 superpowers. BM's job is to lead this team. Before starting the match, the location and dungeon type is explained. The first match will take place in the Reverse Forest. This dungeon has a huge glowing tree hanging upside down. Ore-eating monsters, called Jardins, are found near the glowing tree. They attack from above and below. Jardins become stronger as they get nearer to the tree. The main boss of the dungeon is the glowing tree itself, which is said to be made up of specialized Jardins who had absorbed an extensive amount of aura. The GT Knights are splitting in a 4-4-3 formation where the YSM is divided into two teams of 5 to 5 players. But suddenly Yoon Byum left his group and moved alone. Everyone including to commentators is surprised to see him running alone into the forest. On the other hand, the first division of the GT Knights was trying to kill the Jardins while they got attacked by Neon's arrows. They dodged the arrows and the detector of their team located Sungo's location. Eliminating Sungo is their first priority. When they reached Sungo, they realized that they had made a big mistake. It was the captain of the team Choi Hyuk. He was disguised as a tank to corner the enemies. He threw a bag full of Jardin seeds, which the team had collected while they were hunting. Actually, the hunting game was just an act to collect the seed, and now, with the seed absorbing the aura of the first unit of the enemy team, their movement is restricted. YSM took this chance and attacked the opponents. Choi Hyuk took 2 kills and Choi Young-min took 1. The news of the first division getting ambushed reached the ears of the other 2 divisions. The third division with 3 players was currently engaged in a battle with a strong Jardin. One of them was taken up by the vine of the Jardin. The other one cut through the Jardin and saved his teammate. He told the other 2 that they are regrouping and told them to come fast, but the one he saved just now did not move. He reached him and yelled at him only to realize that he had been killed by Yoon Byum. They didn't even notice his presence as he was moving through the shadows. Byum emerged from the shadow behind them and took another player of the GT. As Byum was about to attack the third player of the GT Knights, the player saw him and dodged his attack. He took cover in the shadow and attacked him again from behind. The player blocked his attack. Since his opponent is a strong defender, Byum went back to the shadows and thought about his next move. He remembered his training sessions with Seo Moon, where he taught him to reduce the choices for his opponents. In that way, they'll be cornered. He also gave him a short sword and a crossbow to have a better short-range fight. Seo Moon taught him to never give up. With all his courage and strength builders up, Byum emerged out of the shadows and rushed towards the enemy, but fell on the way. Ashamed of his fall, Byum went back to the shadows. Meanwhile, the second division of the GT Knights was defeated by the first division of the YSM, but they got surrounded by Jardins. As both Byum and Soho were landing and blocking hits on each other, Byum took the hit. Soho thought to himself, why has Byum used his ability to dodge the attack? It may be because of a limitation. Soho attacked him with all his might, but this time Byum got into the shadows. With his sword stuck into the ground, Byum took the opportunity and defeated the last opponent. The match ended with a victory for the YSM, and Yoon Byum was the MVP. At home, Seo Moon was getting bored as Coach Gabriel was training the team, and now he had nothing to do. We see a man standing outside of his home, smiling at it. Eric Tiram, one of the 7 heroes, the god of axe, and an ally of Seo Moon, had arrived at his door. He told Seo Moon that during his trip to France, he didn't come to meet him. Because of this, he came to meet him from the Atlantic Ocean. Eric's abilities are bad luck and survival instincts, which provide good luck and a 30% increase in strength, agility, and stamina when needed. They had dinner together, where Eric gave Seo Moon a present, a dungeon return stone, used to escape a dungeon. It has 7 uses left. Seo Moon was surprised to see this, and thought to himself that with this stone he could go back to that place. 2 days have passed. Eric tried to convince Seo Moon to come with him, but he refused, and he asked him to take his wife on vacation with him. They said their goodbyes, and Eric left for France. Seo Moon also packed his bags and told his brother that he'll be back in 4 days as he was going on a short vacation. He put on his helmet and, on his bike, left for Gangwon-do, a hilly area full of greenery where no one comes. Seo Moon used the dungeon stone to go back to the place where he had hidden various valuable items like gems, monster furs, special minerals, etc. He used the stone to reach a cave covered by a huge rock. He pushed the rock aside and used the pink aura to go inside the dungeon, which he had cleared but not destroyed. Inside the dungeon, he felt very alive, remembering his old times. A dungeon is a place where he belongs. It's the only thing that interests him. As he was roaming around, he sensed a presence. He was sure that no one had entered it, but still, there was someone. It must be an underworlder. He charged his spear and challenged him to come out. Seo Moon felt a strong evil presence in one of the rooms of this dungeon. There was a bridge between them, which he crossed. 17 years ago, he cleared this dungeon and let its core remain active to use it as his own personal space. As he was halfway through the bridge, he got attacked by a giant Zardan. Zardans are reared by the underworlders to consume their mana. Zardans grow from Zardan seeds, and they can eat everything they can. Seo Moon attacked Zardan with his amplified throw. He called back his spear and finished off the Zardan. He was hoping for some underworlders to appear, but it didn't happen. 1 hour later, Seo Moon had cleared every Zardan seed but one. He kept it in a bottle for himself. The Zardan had eaten everything that Seo Moon had kept inside the dungeon. He visited a sealed room with the dungeon's core and magic stones. He unsealed the room and opened the door. Everything except the core has vanished. Seo Moon was certain that no Zardan could enter the sealed room. It may be because of underworlders who took everything with them. On the ground, Seo Moon saw one of his new spears, which he had thrown at the underworlder in Paris. Now he's certain that underworlders are using this place. Just then, he sensed a heavy aura behind him. He turned and laughed in happiness as he saw one of the stronger underworlders coming towards him. The underworlder with a dense red aura was coming towards him. According to the battlefield reference system, the red aura belongs to the class 3 underworlders, which are not weak. He said something in his language. Seo Moon knew that the underworlders had extreme learning capacity and could learn an entire language with just a small conversation. Seo Moon told him to talk. He asked Seo Moon if he was alone and despised him by calling it a slave's language and humans a lowly species. Seo Moon provoked him and threw his spear at him. He survived the attack but is now very curious, as Seo Moon was disrespecting their holy site. He used the power of the Great Snake and attacked Seo Moon. Seo Moon dodged the attack by amplifying his agility stat. Their battle, along with the provocations, continued until Seo Moon told him about himself. This underworlder knew about Seo Moon as the bane of their existence. From researching and script writing to editing and mastering our best manhwa review channel, I will work hard to roll out the highest quality manhwa entertainment videos twice or more a week. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting the channel. To learn more about how to support the channel, check out the link in the description box down below, and if you can't give or simply don't even feel like it, that's okay too. I am just happy you're here. Thank you so much. He caught in the bottle. He said that it was very dangerous to keep it alive. If it gets free, it can devour an entire city. Seo Moon told him that he'd trade it off to the organization that does research on the underworld to help them in their research. His brother told him about the World Battlefield Association, where he can sell the Zardan. The scene shifts to the second match of Battlefield Season 2, where the match between YS-Man JS Steel is going on. Lee Na-eon is the highlight of this match because of her gameplay and her charm. She had become the French star of the YSM. On the other hand, Yoon BM is executing his stealth gameplay and taking the kills. The other members were also playing their roles accordingly. The conclusion came to YSM as the victors of the second match. With this, they have entered the postseason. The national coach came to Seo Moon, congratulating him for reaching the postseason. He also told him about the Zardan seed that Seo Moon gave him. He had sent it to the association for research. B warned him about the postseason matches, but Seo Moon was confident in his team, and by the look of his confidence, the national coach asked him if he had something else under his sleeve, as most of his tactics have been shown in the last 2 matches. Meanwhile, Coach Gabriel was getting interviewed. He was asked about the preparations for the postseason. He replied that they'd easily win this league as he had made a deal with Seo Moon Yeep, the owner of the YSM. He told the reporter about the deal. Everyone, including the national coach, was shocked to know that Seo Moon will be playing with the YSM team in their matches per year. Coach Gabriel introduced Seo Moon as a player on the team, as he will be playing the next match with them. Their next match will be against Incheon BC. This team had been losing against the YSM's check strategy. For this season, they've recruited a new player, Han Sung-yeep. An average player has tracking ability, through which he can track the movements of 5 living targets. His sole purpose is the defeat of the YSM. The team continued to make plans and strategies. One player asked why Seo Moon was taking part in this match, as they could use him against a tougher team. Coach Gabriel told him that Seo Moon himself would be out for this match. With global media and social media channels, people are getting excited for Seo Moon's return as a battlefield player. He is the strongest superhuman in the world, and watching him play against a Tier 2 team will not satisfy the audience. Every type of rumor was spread before the match against Incheon BC started. When the match day arrived, the stadium was full to its limit. Everyone was cheering. The lineups were made. Seo Moon used his eye for analysis to check the opponent's abilities. He found Han. He met him and asked him if he had chosen his targets for tracking and if he was included. Han said yes, and Seo Moon said that he was his target, which made him afraid. The first match of the postseason between the YSM and Incheon BC began at Wizard Canyon. The first division of the YSM with 6 players is headed toward the enemy team, but they know their positioning using Han's tracking ability. Incheon BC knew that they were at a great disadvantage, because Seo Moon was playing with the YSM, which is why they made some changes by putting more ranged dealers on their team. Their plan was to take the checking team of the YSM and avoid Seo Moon as much as possible. As their first division was going to take on the checking team of the YSM, the captain of the Incheon BC saw a spear pass from his side, killing Han Sung-yeep. It was thrown by Seo Moon using the vision relay ability of Jo Sung-go, from where he got the aim. Seo Moon-yeep killed Han. This made the captain of the second team astonished, as he hadn't moved from his spawn position. Everyone in the opposition was shocked as he threw another spear and killed the second member of the team. They were trying to look for a location, but another Specs came flying and killed the captain as well. Seo Moon was throwing these spears from his spawning position. He was using the relay vision ability of his teammate, and with his help, Seo Moon was able to kill 3 members of the enemy team. We see a flashback. A few days before the match, Seo Moon was practicing with Sung-go to get long-range hits with his vision relay ability. Sung-go needed a pair of binoculars to have an exact aim at the target, and since Seo Moon can control the speed and trajectory of his spears, it is possible for them to get hit from his distance. After a few tries, Seo Moon hit the target, and with practice, he became used to it. Calculating the wind speed, the position of his opponents, his own spawning position, he can easily kill the targets using relay vision. The opponents, referee, commentators, coaches, and audience were shocked as Seo Moon had just obtained 3 kills without even moving from his spawn point. Baek Jae-ho was criticized when, in an interview, he said that Seo Moon had killed monsters from 2 kilometers away. People were addressing him as a liar because of this statement. There were many other unbelievable statements made by Jae-ho in his book, The Savior of the World, Seo Moon-yeep. According to the readers, this book was filled with lies and exaggerations. Because of all these points, this book was deemed fictitious. This book was considered a story made by Baek Jae-ho, but only he knows that everything written in the book is true, even though it sounds impossible. Everything was seen by Jae-ho with his own eyes. There's one confusion Jae-ho was facing. He was confused if Seo Moon was able to call back his spears before as he is doing it now. Meanwhile, the second team of the Incheon BC knew that Seo Moon was attacking from far away. Their plan is to maintain the distance between them, as they are hunting a dragon right now. Seo Moon threw 3 of his spears at the dragon that the second team was hunting, killing it and claiming the points for the YSM. Seo Moon called Yoon BM and threw more spears at the enemy team, but this time they didn't hit. But Seo Moon had another plan in mind. He told BM to hide under the shadow of his spear and kill the remaining players of Incheon from their side. BM emerged from the shadows, taking a kill on the player that just survived the spear thrown by Seo Moon. The match ended with a perfect victory for the YSM. With 4 kills and 7 assists, Seo Moon was the MVP of the match. After the match ended, Coach Gabriel told him that the audience went crazy for his performance. Seo Moon told him that the next match is going to be tough as it is taking place in the dungeon, called the Thousand Bridges. This dungeon is also called the Newbie Killer as it has thousands of bridges inside a huge tower, connected to its center, where the main challenge is to know which bridge is real and which is fake. The damaged bridges are also a big problem, as they break by just a single step. Even the pro players have a hard time competing in this dungeon. The match started with YSM killing the arachne, giant spider monsters, but there is also a bigger threat than the arachne, the ghost spiders. These giant spiders catch their prey in a web and build a cocoon around them, turning them into zombies. The YSM was facing around 50 arachnids and 8 ghost spiders. With 8 spears in his hand, Seo Moon told his team to take care of the zombies as he was going all out on the spiders. He amplified his throw and killed all the monsters in the area in a few minutes. Everyone was amazed that he had cleared the hunt himself. Seo Moon asked Sungo to give him some aura using his relay aura ability. As they were done, they realized that they were surrounded by the enemy team. Seo Moon called his spears back with the same force he threw them, causing them to break the platform they and the enemy team were standing on. Before the match began, he told everyone about the location they'd be playing on, as all he knew about the bridges under the platform. His plan is to make the players of YSM land on the real bridges while killing the enemy players before they reach the ground. According to his calculations, he would get 6 kills from this plan. Things went according to his plan as all the players of YSM and the Incheon BC were falling. Seo Moon took his sword and started killing the opponents. One after another, Seo Moon did what he said. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. He took 6 kills, wiping more than half of the enemy team himself. On reaching the ground, Seo Moon saw that 5 players from the Incheon BC were still alive. They started attacking him. Dodging their attacks, Seo Moon killed more of their players. 7 kills, 8 kills. Using his saber and acrobatic skills, Seo Moon took 11 kills. Wiping the whole team by himself, he had recorded an all-kill by himself in an official match. The crowd went crazy, cheering for Seo Moon. It was the very first recorded all-kill in the history of the battlefield. Coach Gabriel told Seo Moon to sit out for the 3rd match as Incheon BC would take some time to recover from the trauma that he had just put them through, and he also wanted to introduce some less used players to the battle. Once again, the results of the 3rd match came in favor of the YSM, with Choi Hyuk as the MVP of the match with 3 kills and 3 assists. The first matchup of the postseason was won by the YSM. The second match of the postseason, YSM against the SP, began and ended without anyone knowing anything because of Seo Moon's monstrous gameplay. The results came out as 3 kills and 7 assists for the first round, 8 kills and 2 assists for the second round. With that, the second match of the postseason was won by the YSM. At the Paris Lumiere Club, the Moro brothers were trying to find new ways to market Seo Moon. They wanted the long-range spear play to be a trademark of Seo Moon. Also, they wanted him to play in the Paris Lumiere uniform. They're ready to bet everything they have on Seo Moon in the winter trade market. The scene shifts to Berlin, Germany, where the owner of the Berlin Blitz, John Behrman, is having a conversation with the coach of the Berlin Blitz, Emre Klaas, who is showing interest in scouting Seo Moon Yeep for his team. At the beginning of the chapter, we're introduced to the top 3 teams in this world. In the first place, we have the Paris Lumiere, managed by the Moro brothers, with Nathan Bernard and Chich Lucas as its star players. This team stands atop every other team in the world. On the second, we have the New York Bears with Gerard Walker as their center, and lastly, for the third position, we have the Berlin Blitz with Emre Casa, one of the 7 heroes, as their coach. The Berlin Blitz and the Paris Lumiere have had a deep history of rivalry since the beginning of Battlefield. Emre Casa is having a conversation with the owner of the Berlin Blitz about scouting Seo Moon Yeep for his team. Even though Behrman, the owner of Berlin Blitz, wanted to support his decision, he knew that Seo Moon would never agree to this, as he had an infamous rivalry with coach Emre Kasa when they were fighting alongside each other 17 years ago. We see a flashback of Seo Moon and Kasa having a fight. Their opinions were colliding with each other. Seo Moon was in favor of clearing out the dungeon, while Kasa didn't want to do that as it was a suicide mission, according to him. Coming back to the scene, Kasa somehow managed to make Behrman agree to let him scout Seo Moon. He asked, "How much money do you need?" Kasa said 180 million would be enough for him to outbid the Moro brothers. Meanwhile, the last match of the postseason was going on between YSM and the Ocean Empire. It was obvious which team was going to win as Seo Moon was playing with the YSM. The first round was won by YSM. Coach Gabriel asked Seo Moon to sit out for the next matches as the new players would get some experience from them. Seo Moon agreed to it. His strategy was to switch the main tank with the secondary one. Choi Hyuk will be promoted to the first team as he had a chance to make it to the national team. This will give Hyuk the chance to express himself fully. They were both strategizing for the other players, and with Coach Gabriel's experience and Seo Moon's eyes of analysis, they put together a formation that would be the strongest one they could have. The main coach of the YSM came and told Seo Moon that many trade offers were coming from the international teams for his recruitment. They're offering 100 million euros at the minimum. Seo Moon said that he'd prefer to stay and make the YSM a global team. Coach Gabriel said that it'll not be possible for him to carry the whole team by himself on the global level. Even if they try to recruit some foreign players, it will be no good as the management of those players will out-budget them as they don't have any high-income sources. If they trade him off, they can have some top-class facilities for the team with the money they'll get. This will also help them manage the new players they'll buy from foreign countries. The matches between YSM and the Ocean Empire started and ended with the Ocean Empire emerging as the victors. Since they're a Tier 1 team that got demoted, they still have a lot of experience as compared to the YSM, which was placed last in the previous year's Tier 2 matches. The result of the final match of the postseason came out. YSM won. After the postseason ended, YSM had sold out 4 of his players, and now they're in search of new ones. They need a ranged damage dealer. Seo Moon had already prepared a list of the players he wanted to scout for the YSM. He showed the list to the coaches, which surprised them, as there were some players that the coaches thought it was not possible to recruit. Seo Moon, on his bike, was thinking about what he had to do as the thought of joining the Paris Lumiere was bugging him. But before this, he wanted to collect the players that he had handpicked on his list to fulfill the requirements that Coach Gabriel had. Seo Moon went to Seonghun High to recruit Kim Hyung-tae, but the management told him that Kim had already been recruited by the Twin Star Spirits. Then he asked for a kid named Lee Dae-young, but he had already retired because of some family issues. As Seo Moon was leaving, the coach told him about a graduate student named Park Min-young. He hadn't joined any team because he was confused about his life. At the request of the coach, Seo Moon agreed to take a look at the student he mentioned. In high school, he played as a close-range dealer. This fact interested Seo Moon in the kid. At Gangnam Cyber Cafe, Min-young was sitting with his friend, who started bullying the manager of that place. He somehow managed to get out of the situation. Seo Moon arrived and asked him about Min-young. Seo Moon, who was wearing a helmet, went to his table and started the conversation. When the bully interrupted, he threw a stone at his face and made him unconscious. One of his friends hit Seo Moon on the helmet with a keyboard. Seo Moon punched him back, calling it a self-defense move. 2 of his friends rushed in, but he dodged their attack and counterattacked them. Seo Moon removed his helmet and asked Min-young to have a chat with him, but behind them was a girl who was live-streaming all this. She told everyone that the person beating the kids was Seo Moon Yeep. The chapter starts with the kids kneeling before Seo Moon, asking for forgiveness. Seo Moon beat them again and told them to get out. He then asked young men why he was smoking in a non-smoking area. He said sorry, but Seo Moon punched him in the gut. Young men asked him if the coach had sent him. He told Seo Moon that he'll not be playing Battlefield anymore and that he is wasting his time trying to get him for his team. Seo Moon asked him to have a peaceful chat, but he told him to go away. Seo Moon went furious and gut punched him again. Young Min became unconscious. While taking him away, Seo Moon saw the girl who was live streaming. He asked her to delete the photos, but she told him that they were going live. She told him that it was a mission to live stream the bullies in the cyber cafe. This mission will give her 10,000 stars, which is equivalent to 700,000 euros. She got 2 10,000 star gifts from the chats, which made her super happy, but then her Steam ended. She got a call from the website manager saying that she'd been banned from streaming for 3 months because her current stream was too violent. Seo Moon took the call from her and asked if teaching a lesson to the bullies was too violent. He asked the manager's name and told him that he'd come to pay him a visit. The manager said that it was a mistake on their part and they'd unban her. She was unbanned and continued the stream. Everyone on the stream was happy. Seo Moon asked her to end the stream. She ended the stream and thanked him for helping her. Seo Moon asked her to come to YSM for a stream, and from that time on, he got the hobby of watching streams. Seo Moon asked Young Min why he didn't want to be a Battlefield player. He said that he and his mother earn the money with which he takes care of his grandparents. His father drinks and gambles. Seo Moon told him to become a pro on the battlefield, that way he could help out his family. Young Min agreed to join, but on a condition. He wanted Seo Moon to teach a lesson to his father, just like he taught him. Seo Moon went to meet Kim Jin-soo, a player with regeneration and sacrifice as his superpowers. His stats were pretty high. He can play the role of fast tank that Coach Gabriel wants. He signed his contract with the YSM and was pretty happy about it. Seo Moon went to a billiards club and asked about Youngmin's father. He congratulated him on his son's becoming a prominent Battlefield player. Seo Moon said that he's here to fulfill a wish his son had. He took out a bottle of beer and started beating him. He asked the other people if they wanted a lesson or not, and they all fled from the scene. He started beating him again. Seo Moon took him to his home and told everyone that Park Young will never drink again, and if he does, they should just call him. He told Young Min to come to the YSM clubhouse tomorrow to sign the contract. The scene shifts to a bar where a close-range dealer named Shin Young-soo is angry at his team. While on his way to the washroom, he bumped into Seo Moon. He cursed him, and Seo Moon took that personally. He punched him in the face. When his friends arrived, he told them that he was taking Young-soo with him. While Seo Moon was creating the list of players, he got a call from the vice president of the Korean Battlefield Association. He told him about his son, Shin Young-soo, and his behavior with his teammates, which led him to leave the national team. When Young-soo regained consciousness, Seo Moon told him that he was giving him the chance of his life, and if he refused, his career as a pro Battlefield player would be over since his reputation in the media was not good either. Seo Moon hit him and told him that all the situations he was facing are because of his negative mentality. He asked him to join the YSM, and if he doesn't, news articles will be published saying that Young-soo picked up a fight with Seo Moon, and because of all the hate comments he'll get, no other team will accept him. The only way to improve his public image is to get closer to Seo Moon. Seo Moon asked him if he had won any major league games before, and the answer came out to be no. Seo Moon told him that if he joined the YSM, every unwon match would become a win. He passed his business card and said that he had only 1 day to respond. Young-soo went to his father and told him everything. His father told him to join the YSM, as Seo Moon Yeep is the real deal, and Gabriel Sana is their coach, making the YSM the perfect place for him to go. Also, Seo Moon has raised many superhumans across the world. He had the experience required to deal with different individuals. The next day, at the Future Hypers clubhouse, Seo Moon asked the team leader of the Future Hypers to sell him Shin Young-soo for 10 billion won. From researching and script writing to editing and mastering our best manhwa review channel, I will work hard to roll out the highest quality manhwa entertainment videos twice or more a week. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting the channel. To learn more about how to support the channel, check out the link in the description box down below, and if you can't give or simply don't even feel like it, that's okay too. I am just happy you're here. Thank you so much. Let's begin. 10 billion won. After hearing Seo Moon's offer, the leader of the future hypers became dumbstruck but then refused, saying that he had gotten a better offer from a Middle Eastern team. The offer was $30 billion for Shin. Seo Moon told him that the Eastern companies always make offers like these but, at the time of payment, make excuses, which ends in a cheap trade offered by them. Also, Shin doesn't want to go to the Middle East, Seo Moon said. Even though all of what he said is true, 10 billion is still a really low amount compared to 30 billion. The leader told him that this deal would not be done if Seo Moon didn't do anything more profitable for them. Seo Moon said that there will be no deal for more than $1 billion if Shin is laid off from the national team. He said that he should wait for that moment. The leader told him that this is not a way to negotiate and he would not be able to make a deal with him for 10 billion. He asked Seo Moon to come up with a reasonable offer later. Seo Moon got the sign. Even if the leader is nervous, he is using his mind by not making any rash decisions. Seo Moon took a pause and asked the leader. The owner of this team is the vice president of the Miri group. Without waiting for his answer, Seo Moon asked him to call the owner. The leader was nervous. In his mind, he was unable to calculate the situation. He doesn't want to call the owner. The scene shifts to a flashback from 17 years ago. We see a drunk Seo Moon at the Miri Hotel banquet. In front of him, a young man was trying to forcefully take a girl away from him. But Seo Moon was happy as he saw the bottle of wine he was looking for. Seo Moon marched forward, pushing them aside, and took the bottle. The man fell down. 3 bodyguards came to help him, but he shook them away. In a frustrated tone, he asked Seo Moon if he knew who he was. Seo Moon asked, "Who is he?" One of the bodyguards from behind said that he is the grandson of the owner of the Miri group and also the vice president of the same. The vice president said if he told the higher-ups about this incident, Seo Moon would not be able to remain in Korea. Seo Moon was drunk, he grabbed him by the mouth and said that he was Seo Moon Yeep. Seo Moon tied him up and taped his mouth. He took the vice president of the Miri group hostage in his own hotel. Seo Moon made them donate 500 billion won to the children of orphanages. This incident traumatized the vice president. He becomes nervous whenever someone mentions Seo Moon or just says, Seo. Their meeting would be a disaster, therefore, he must prevent it at all costs. The leader had a clear situation in front of him. He had no other choice but to agree with him. Seo Moon knew that this plan of his would work. He said that 1 billion won would be too low for him, so he'll pay 5 billion won to buy Shin Young-soo for the YSM. He made the leader sign the contract and brought Shin Young-soo. A few weeks had passed, and at the YSM clubhouse, Coach Gabriel was telling Seo Moon about the new players he had recruited. 1. Kim Jin-soo is lacking in physical capabilities, but he has exceptional control skills over his shielding ability. It would be a tiresome process to develop his ability traditionally, but since he already has the upper hand in controlling his skills, he will come out as a great player with simple body training. Seo Moon knew that Kim is a hard-working player, and he will improve quickly. 2. The second cadet is Park Young-min. According to Coach Gabriel, he has the potential to become a high-ranking close-range dealer, but for that, he needs a lot of motivation and needs to be pushed forward as he's been resting for a whole year. His growth records will be personally managed by Coach Gabriel, as he believes in Seo Moon's words. 3. The last player Seo Moon got was Shin Young-soo. He is the only available player for the matches. Coach Gabriel told him that they'd need more battle-ready players. Seo Moon told him that other than the ones he got, there's no one noteworthy in Korea, as all the good players had already been scouted. Most of them are underpowered or extremely expensive. He had to get some good foreign players for his team. The scene shifts to Seo Moon's house, where Baek Hae-yeon has arrived for her vacation. Seo Moon asked her if she was having any problems adjusting to her new team. She told him that she's on rotation, but she gets to play a lot of matches where she has made a lot of points. According to the French media, Baek Hae-yeon's addition to the Paris Lumiere was a wise decision, as can be seen in the results. Since Paris Lumiere already has a set of pretty strong superhumans, it is difficult for her to become a regular starter. Seo Moon used his eye for analysis and observed her stats. He had improved quite a lot and had already surpassed the level of Korean battlefield teams. Her strength and stamina had increased a lot, and with her 87-stage leadership stat, it would be a piece of cake for her to become a leader anywhere she went. It's only a matter of time until her strategy stats increase and she becomes a world-class player. Baek Jae-ho, Haeun's dad, entered the house. Seo Moon checked his stats, which were maxed and around half of Haeun's. Seo Moon thought to himself that it would be better for him to fire Jae-ho and appoint Haeun as the coach. At the dinner table, Jae-ho asked Seo Moon about his search for new players. He also asked about Young-soo. Seo Moon told him that it was a request from the vice president. Jae-ho asked him, when will he take Young-soo off the national team? Seo Moon told him that his ego and attitude are preventing him from doing so, as it'll not be of any benefit to the team. Jae-ho asked him if he had all the required players. Seo Moon told him that there's still room for a couple of players, which he'll get from abroad, as most of the Korean players are underpowered. Jae-ho told him that it's only been a decade since the establishment of Battlefield, it'll take some more time for people to be more serious about it and for new players to emerge naturally. Seo Moon asked Jae-ho about South America to find some new players, and Jae-ho asked him to look for them in Kazakhstan. When he was training his team for the Asian League, he noticed that in Kazakhstan, even without proper training facilities and infrastructure, new players with unique strategies are emerging. It would be a place worth looking for. Haeun asked Seo Moon if she could come with him, to which he agreed. Haeun's mother was also very excited to go to Kazakhstan, but Jae-ho was upset as he would be the one to be left alone at home. Haeun told her that this time only she and Seo Moon would go, which made her mother upset too. The scene shifts to Kazakhstan National Airport, where Seo Moon and Haeun are coming out of the flight. At the exit, Seo Moon was greeted by Timur Akhmatov, an ally of Seo Moon during the time of the Underground Wars. Seo Moon met him in Russia. Even though he was not considered one of the 7 heroes, his skills and strength are at the level of competing with the strongest superhumans, placing him within the top 20 in the world. Seo Moon asked him why he was here, as the Battlefield Association was supposed to be here for their welcome. Seo Moon asked him if he worked for the association. Timur told him that he is the president of the Battlefield Association, and he wanted to personally welcome him. Timur asked why he hadn't called him directly. Seo Moon said he lost his number because his old phone was taken in by the museum as an artifact. They had a laugh, and Timur asked Seo Moon why he was here, as he was certainly not here to meet him. Seo Moon told him that he was here to scout some new players for his team. Timur asked if he would like to see his team. Seo Moon was a bit shocked to know that Timur is also a team owner. They went with him. Timur said that he had no expectations that Seo Moon Yeep would be impressed by his team, but they are still a strong band of Battlefield players. Seo Moon said that his team is in the same condition. He asked Timur about him being the president of the Battlefield Association and the owner of a Battlefield team. Timur told him that he's also the owner of a soccer team and was the Prime Minister of Kazakhstan at one time because of Seo Moon. As they were about to go in, Seo Moon was attacked from behind. It was a spear. Seo Moon caught the spear in the air but got attacked by a woman who had thrown it. Fast as wind, she repeatedly attacked Seo Moon, which he blocked and evaded. She took a step back and asked if he was the real Seo Moon Yeep. She told him that her name is Sonia Akhmatov, and she wanted Seo Moon to have a duel with her. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to watch more videos like these, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. From researching and script writing to editing and mastering our best manhwa review channel, I will work hard to roll out the highest quality manhwa entertainment videos twice or more a week. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting the channel. To learn more about how to support the channel, check out the link in the description box down below, and if you can't give or simply don't even feel like it, that's okay too. I am just happy you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next video.